Can Arch Manning have a real chance to win the starting job in 2023, or is it Quinn Ewers' job locked, stock, and barrel right now?
You know what the actual question I have is, what are the reps going to look like?
It's a good question because, with Quinn, he played he didn't play the whole season. He was hurt some of it. But you want to have, if he's your starter, you want him in there with those offensive linemen as much as you can. And you got some jobs that you're going to settle, but you've had some young guys that were really good last year. I would want Quinn playing with them if he's the guy.
As much as possible, because he's still in the middle of his development.
Yeah. I want to see what Arch can do. I mean, the beauty of spring practice is you do get a chance to let your twos do some stuff, and you can sprinkle Arch in there with the ones if you feel like he's ready, but they don't have to do anything with him. And I don't think that Arch or his camp are going to put any pressure on anybody to start right away. That never seemed to be part of the recruitment.
No. Well, the number one thing with people, whenever you tweet about tech, there's two programs that I feel like gets the most hatred in my mentions whenever I mention them in any way, and that's A&M and Texas.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever I tweeted anything about Ewers, everybody had this general assumption, and I don't know if it's just, mainline trash talk, but it was always like, well, it'll be fun to see Quinn in the transfer portal again, Yeah. And he already transferred once. So, that would be an interesting situation.
Still, you need a waiver. They're giving waivers, but it's still not a guarantee.
Right. But I don't know that. I thought he played fine in his first year. And I know the way that he was rated and the hype that he had in high school, like you would hope that he would have been a Heisman finalist or play at that level. Mm-hmm. But I saw enough out of Quinn last year to think, hey, this guy's got a shot to be really, really good. And he did play, like, even if you go back and remember like his first real start against a team or a good team, Alabama, like before he got injured, he looked like very poised and confident out there.
He did. Yeah.
So I don't know if I would be willing to give up on that yet. But on the other hand, too, it's just like if Arch Manning he was the most hyped like if you think Quinn Ewers was hyped, right. Arch Manning was the most hyped prospect I've ever seen. And I was a kid when Terrell Pryor was going through it, and I remember that was a really big one.
But Terrell Pryor wasn't the nephew of two famous Super Bowl winning quarterbacks.
How much better would Arch Manning have to be to even win that job from a roster standpoint? Like, even if he was 10% better than Quinn, I don't know if the juice would be worth the squeeze there.
Yeah, I mean, if he's better, the locker room knows it. They're not going to revolt or anything like that. But I just think coming from where he came from, playing where he did at a private school in Louisiana, it may take some time. It may take some time to get ready and some time to adjust to the speed of the game. And it sure seemed like they set up his recruitment so that he would get that time, not so that he would be thrust into a quarterback controversy early on.
And Quinn Ewers is draft eligible after next year, right?
He is, yes. If he has a good season, I wouldn't be shocked. Yeah, he can leave. And look, given the quality of the quarterback class this year, somebody like Quinn Ewers who checks a lot of the boxes in terms of size and arm strength and all that stuff. Look,
would he be the youngest player in the draft, though?
I don't think so. He'd be a third-year guy.
No, I know, but his first year was a high school senior.
Did he do the
Remember, he enrolled at Ohio State early.
I know, but did he do the Southern quarterback redshirt is the question.
Yeah, I don't know how actually
he was born in 2000. He was born in 2003. So he'd be about the same age as people who started school normally at if they were born in 2003 and came out after their third year.
Are they 20?
They're 21 usually. He would be 21.
He would? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. Yeah. So I mean,
he'd be 20. So he'd be on the younger end.
Yeah.
Yeah. He'd be on the younger end.
But I don't think that's outside of the realm of possibility. So like, I'm going to say this right now. I would be pretty surprised if Arch Manning was a starting quarterback for Texas next year.
I would be very surprised because I don't think they were looking for a place where he'd be thrust into that role. Now, if Quinn Ewers gets hurt, that's a different story. But I don't think they wanted Arch to have all that pressure on him because they're smart. They understand how all of this stuff works. Like,
Yeah.
That's not a recipe for success.
There used to
typically.
be in college football a general understanding that no matter how good you were as a quarterback, you were not going to play as a freshman.
Right.
And the development in the weight room and the eating plan and the understanding of the playbook, the assimilating to college, the gaining leadership in the locker room, all the things that you read about and coaches will tell you about has gone to the wayside because really, really good quarterbacks want to play early now. So if you have a situation where money is not an issue with the family, you have a quarterback excellence in your DNA, and you understand that, hey, if it takes
you almost
year,
said he pisses excellence, didn't you?
No, but he probably does. I mean, Texas is the program at the P chart, so they could test his P. You are a bad man. No, so it'd be I think that it makes sense to give him time, and then when he's actually ready to go out there and play, he stands a lot more to gain from being ready and to look the part. But on the other hand, the flip of the coin too, Andy, you know this as well as anybody. Quarterbacks in 2023 are far more equipped to compete earlier on based on the private coaches that they have and the personal trainers and the dieting,
reps they take in
the elite 11s and the 7-on-7s. But the thing about Arch is he didn't participate in a lot of camps.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't really a part of all that. So that, to me, I wonder too, like, and I know he had great coaching. I mean, that's not a problem. Yeah. But, you know, he is a generally fascinating human being to follow. And I'm excited to see, you know, in the spring, you know, you can flip up reps a little bit more because you're not getting ready for a football game. This is a developmental time. But it is an interesting dynamic because you want Quinn to get as many reps with the ones as possible if he's going to be the quarterback because he's still developing. But on the other hand, you might want to see what you have in Arch. And this is the whole thing that, you know, but
I think there's enough reps to go around, especially if you have a situation where the person who's going to be your backup understands they're going to be your backup.
Yeah. Now, the one thing that could throw a wrench into the whole thing, Andy, is if Arch just goes out there and looks like John Elway.
And listen, if that happens, you start the best player. There's no messing around with that. Start the best player.
Yeah.
Like don't tempt fate.
How many coaches in college football though? How many coaches in college football do you think simply just start the best player?
It's hard. I go back to 2016. Nick Saban did start Blake Barnett against USC, but it was very clear they've been getting Jalen Hurts ready because they thought Jalen Hurts was the best player.
In my time covering Ohio State, I think I can name 10 different instances where the best player was not on the field because of seniority.
Yes, that's one particular head coach.
Yeah.
Well, two particular head coaches, both of whom valued seniority. I'm not talking about Ryan Day. I'm talking about Jim Tressel and Urban Meyer.
Yeah. My first year on the beat was his last year. But yes.
I do think now more than ever, coaches understand you just play the best guy.
You see what Joshua just put up there? We put that up there. Read it.
Ari, would you just sacrifice this Texas season to have the next two seasons be better? No, well, those would be your first two seasons in the SEC. So there you go.
Kicking the knackers, that question, because you know how I stand on that.
I do.
Also, to the upside of the current starter at Texas is a little bit higher than Sean Clifford's.
It's pretty high. Yeah.
Yeah.